I'm going to jump right in and start talking about Deep Fusion because we just got an update to iOS that's going to allow the latest iPhones to take advantage, start using Deep Fusion. Now, the iOS version that gave this to us is 13.2. So check your update, see where you're at, and see if this is something that you want to grab. I mean, you're going to this on the stage during the announcement. I was super into it. I was really excited for it, and it was one of the things that I couldn't wait to actually experience and try. And spoiler alert, okay, it's not quite as impressive as I was hoping or as I thought. It's not as fun to use as I thought it was going to be for lots of reasons, none of which are like really bad. It's a good feature to actually have on my iPhone. I'm glad that it's there. But it's just a little bit more boring than I thought. So if you get 13.2 and you have an iPhone 11 or an 11 Pro or an 11 Pro Max, you'll be able to use Deep Fusion. Here's the thing. It's not quite as impressive as I thought it was going to be. Sometimes it's kind of hard to tell the difference. Actually, I'm gonna amend that statement. Most of the time, for me, it's been pretty hard to tell the difference, with one exception. Like one time I really noticed, but then at that point, it was almost so sharp. I was like, I don't know if that looks better or good. I looked at the other version without it, and that looked good. I don't know. Maybe I'm just more used to the other version. But either way, it's kind of a weird mode. The main weird thing about this, and maybe it's weird and maybe it's not, but it's an automatic thing. Like it just happens on its own, and you don't really have any control over it. You do sort of, but not really by design, not on purpose. Apple tried to not give you control over it because I think the thinking was they just wanted you to take the best picture that you could, an amazing photo, without you having to think about it, which actually makes a lot of sense. I'm behind that thinking. Good for Apple and good for consumers, good for iPhone people because it's going to look better. But, you know, when it came out, it sounded like it was going to be more like night mode, something that you can like know is on or tweak a little bit, you know, change it, do something with it, activate it at the very minimum. And it's not really the case. It's a laid-back experience. Like with night mode, you know that you're taking a night mode shot because you see that little yellow sticker up there, and it's also like, hold still to get the best shot. With Deep Fusion, it's all just happening in the background. Now, there's one way to actually tell that you're using Deep Fusion, that you're getting the most out of it, and you have to go into, very purposefully, the settings, camera settings, and then turn off the feature that says capture out of frame. You got to turn that off, which is too bad because that's kind of a cool thing. Lets you reframe your photo a little bit afterwards if you didn't quite capture what you meant to, or if it would look a little better. You can't tweak it with Deep Fusion on. If that setting is turned on, then Deep Fusion is toast. You're not using it. And that's the one way that you know for sure that you're not using Deep Fusion. So it's kind of an on-off button, but not really. It's not meant to be. It's just that it's incompatible with that particular mode. So this brings up the question, like, what is Deep Fusion good for? If it's actually pretty hard to tell the difference between a Deep Fusion photo and a photo that doesn't have Deep Fusion turned on, not impossible. Just like, it's just, let me explain. Deep Fusion, if you were to see two things side by side, you just may not even notice the difference, the one that had it and the one that didn't. Where you do tend to notice the difference in my experience is when you zoom like way in and you start looking at like fibers in sweaters. That's where the sweater comes in because it seems to do really well. It really gets to work on textured things. So people are taking pictures of like rugs, you know what I mean, on the floor. And that's not something that you normally would take a picture of. Or like in your beard or your hair, like it may do something there. But that's where this whole Deep Fusion sweater gang thing came from because just textured stuff, that's where it really seems to make a big difference. But if you want to take advantage of your brand new ultra wide lens, you know, the thing you're all excited about with your new iPhone, it doesn't work. Deep Fusion, it does not get along with your ultra wide lens, and that's too bad. So it's not like it's just going to work no matter what, whatever lens you're using. No. So on the regular wide angle lens, not the ultra wide, just the regular, you may notice it there in like some medium light situations. It may kick on. I thought of another thing. If you are taking a picture of your cat or your pet with that hair, that might pop a little bit better. with Deep Fusion. So if your pet has an Instagram account, then Deep Fusion, that's made for you. But actually, the place where I've gotten Deep Fusion to kick in the most and like actually try to do some heavy lifting, make a difference in a photo is with the telephoto lens. So iPhone 11, that's not going to apply to you, like if that's what you have, because you just have the wide and ultra wide, right? But if you have the telephoto on the Pro this year, then I found, because, I think it's because it just lets in less light. So it's just automatically going to be a better candidate for using Deep Fusion for whatever. So I don't know. That's where I did a lot of my test shots for Deep Fusion to try to see the difference. And that's where I ended up seeing where it kicked in the most. But honestly, like if you're not sitting there turning off the capture out of frame setting, turning it back on, and taking a photo to like compare one versus the other before and after, I just don't know that you're going to notice. And so in that way, it was sort of a dud, unless it really can improve, like maybe it's something that's going to get incrementally better next year or something. And maybe this is just the foundation. We're going to keep building on it. Like, I'm not complaining that it's there. It's there. It does do something. It's just less fun and less noticeable than I thought.